This is Ken from Carl's Equipment Game Servers, and today I'm going to show you how to set up an Atlas server. First thing you're going to do is you're going to look in your control panel. You're going to have an Atlas instance, and you're going to have a Redis database instance. First thing you want to do is configure your Redis database instance. So when you go into the Redis database instance, you're just going to click on Configuration Files, Configuration Editor. You're going to give it a password. Okay. This password is going to be used by any Atlas game that you want to be able to connect to the server. So once you're done with that, you can go back out to the main service and just start your database. Okay, database will just keep running all the time unless you need to stop it. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to go into your Atlas folder, and you're going to first install your map because Atlas does not come with a map. So if you go to Mod Manager, you'll see there's a 1x1 default map. You can install that, or you can just upload your own map if you've already created one. I'm going to be adding more maps here, but I just haven't had the time to do it yet. So you click on Install, and it's going to ask you a couple questions. So you need to give it a server name and then an Atlas ID. Atlas ID has to be a random number or a number that no other server has. So you can use the grid editor to get a number, but it's only a random number, so I'm guessing eventually there's going to be issues that way. Or you could just make a number up, just a random number, and if your server doesn't show up, try changing that number. And then you need to give it information from your Redis server. So if I go back here, here's my Redis information here. Okay, connection info. So I'm going to put the IP address in here. I'm going to take the port out. Port and the password that I gave it. So if you don't remember what the password is, you can always go back here, get your password, put your password in, and then you click on Install. So what this did is it added the map, installed it for you. And now if you go to the configuration file screen, you're going to see here's the map and here's your regular server config. So if I go into the server grid.json file, okay, you can see here's that information I gave it, as well as this one, there's the information. If you want to tweak the thing, you click the text editor and it'll let you change everything. So if you wanted to change the name of like the actual cell and stuff, you could change it all here. So home server, all the information you want to change it will be changed in here. Eventually I'll have the configuration editor offer these options as well, so you can put the right information in without having to edit the text file manually. So once you're done with setting those up, you can also do your game user settings, and these are, like I said, these are just what they're showing so far. You can change this manually in the text editor. As the devs release more information, I'll update the config editors, but you can put whatever you want in here as well. And as long as the numbers and everything match up, you go ahead and start the you want to change your command line too. Okay, so the command line, you need to go into this will let you give more options. If you just start it the way it is, it will work, but if you go into here, I'm going to hit don't restart, I'm going to hit select. This is your admin password for connecting to the server. So right now it's just the words admin password. You can see it here. I'll leave that the way it is. Map name, right now it's always going to be Ocean. Server X and server Y, those are your grid spaces. So if this was a 1x2 server or a 2x2 server, you'd have to put the coordinate of the actual cell in there so it knows when the server starts which cell it is. This is just the directory name where it's going to save. I recommend just leaving that. Each server will be running its own instance, have its own folder. You won't need to have a different thing. If you wanted to give it a name, so you could say this is Freeport or whatever, you could add that. And then the number of reserve slots. I'm guessing reserve slots means that they leave slots empty, so if people travel from one map to another, that there's always going to be room, So you hit apply, and now it shows that it's selected. And if I go back out to the main menu now, I can start the server. And it should connect to the database and everything for you. Okay, now when you're booting up, if that memory kind of hangs at a low number, like between 200 and 400 megabytes, It means that you're not connected to your database, most likely. That's the only time I ever have seen it do that. It's because initial stages on testing, I was trying to alter database, the way the database was set up, and I would see that it would stop going up. So this is a way you know that your server is actually loading. When it gets up to about 5 gigabytes, I guess, 4.5, 5 gigabytes, it usually will be available in game for you. And you'll be able to find it easily by just searching for the server name. And that's it. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up on the Discord or create a support ticket. Enjoy.